The two journalists arrived in court defiant, even though they'd been accused of being enemies of the state. At their arrest, they were paraded with what Myanmar's military-backed civilian government said were secret documents relating to the army's operations in Rakhine province against the minority Rohingya community. Fellow journalists waiting outside feared a drastic verdict, and those fears were soon realized. As global condemnation from the UN and others poured in, the British ambassador who witnessed the sentencing made this forceful condemnation.
In a democracy, journalists should be allowed to practice their jobs without intimidation and without fear. And this case has very much undermined freedom of the media in Myanmar.
The journalists were bundled into a police truck to begin their sentence. As he was being taken away, Wal Earn said, "This is unfair. It's a one-sided decision which directly threatens our democracy." The case once again calls into question the moral credibility of Nobel Prize winner Aung San Suu Kyi, now a member of Myanmar's military-backed government. So far, she said nothing for the Reuters correspondents, even though countless journalists risked their lives to interview her when she was under house arrest by the country's generals. The journalists had been investigating alleged atrocities by Myanmar's military in Rakhine province against the minority Rohingya Muslim population, a campaign described by the United Nations as a textbook example of ethnic cleansing. They'd produced reports showing the culpability of Myanmar's military in a massacre of civilians, and that, many believe, is why the journalists ended up in jail.
I think it shows the deep sensitivity the military has to any criticism of the country. Now, what it can't do is it can't arrest necessarily those, NGO researchers who are able to document what's going on in the country. But because these two journalists were Burmese, they have this, added risk factor, this added vulnerability that they can be targeted.
Tonight, two journalists who'd been doing their job have been imprisoned, but that's unlikely to end the chorus of international condemnation of Myanmar for its actions against the Rohingya minority. Ragyomar News at 10.